Please not be joined here at SB Nation by the one and only, the dashing, the debonair, the internationally famous. You know him, you love him. He has a trophy case filled up for a lifetime of generations. It is the one and only Julian Edelman. Julian, thank you so much for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having me, RJ. What's going on?
I want to tell you right off the rip. I've been to one Super Bowl game in my life. I've covered a lot of them. The one with Super Bowl 51. So you and me, we're kind of tied forever in that sense.
Should have had you at we should have had you at the Super Bowl in 2011 when we lost to Indianapolis Colts. We could have used your luck.
You know,
Or
I
we didn't lose the Colts. We lost to in Indianapolis to the I can't even say it, Giants.
see, like, is that the one that bothers you the most? I didn't mean to start off on such a sour note. I obviously meant to start off on a good one, but the one that bothers me the most is the one you lost the next year to the Eagles. As somebody who covers the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I tore my ACL that year
Right.
and it hurt, but it's different when you're not on the team. Like I was a
Sure.
part of the team, but I was rehabbing my knee. So I would say the 11 one hurt me the most.
I can see that. Plus, it was earlier in your career, and even if you're on the Patriots, you have no idea, whether you're going to get back. There's maybe it's different after you've won a billion of them, and you can kind of compartmentalize it a little bit differently. To your point, I'm super excited to talk to you because I wanted to tell you for my whole life since then, I knew it was a catch right away. Like I absolutely knew in that I was there with my dad, and I was like, he caught it. I was like, there was no question in my mind. And a big reason was something that has fascinated me about your career when you were playing for a long time is the red gloves. That was the reason I knew. And as I understand, I've heard you tell this story before. That was an issue with Coach Belichick.
Yeah, I started wearing the red gloves to let my mom would always mix up me and Welker, and
Okay.
so I was like, Mom, I got red gloves on. All right, I'm gonna start wearing red gloves. That's me. And so I started wearing that, and then as I wore it, if God forbid if you got a holding penalty on a team that was wearing white jerseys and
Mm-hmm.
you had red gloves on, Bill did not. He was not a fan of that. He basically would say you're promoting a holding call. So yeah, Bill didn't like necessarily. He always wanted you to wear the color of glove that the other. I'm like, Coach, it's a green team. We don't have green. So can I wear red? But
That's people love to say like would this team like we're coming off the Olympics. I know you did a lot of stuff about that. Like would the dream team have beaten this year's men's Olympic basketball team? If anybody ever says could like insert Patriots team beat Patrick Mahomes' Chiefs, you'd be like, well, if they're wearing red, we could have gotten away with a lot. You know what I'm saying?
a lot. Hey, if we're on the road and we're playing, I mean, we did do it in 18,
That's true.
so got
Uh,
that couple of those holding calls.
we're speaking on the Monday after week one slate on Sunday that was incredible. And you obviously were on the pregame show for Fox. And the very first thing you said in terms of things you were looking forward to was seeing your former teammate, your guy, Tom Brady, in action in his color commentating debut.
Yeah.
He did have the Dallas Cowboys game. What were your thoughts on how Tom did?
Yeah, I thought he did good. I thought it was a good starting point for him. Knowing Tom, he's gonna learn from this and use this rep to get better the next week. I feel bad that he had to do such a blowout game. Like that's probably so hard to cover a game. I've never called games, so I don't know. But to have to try to break down a game when it's 37-14, like that's got to be tough. So yeah, I think it's a good starting point for him, and knowing him like the way I do, he's going to do everything he can to make himself better and better each week. The Tom Brady you get this week is not going to be the same Tom Brady you're going to get in week 14.
Well, he's fortunate in that the post he holds covers of the Dallas Cowboys a lot. They're going to have the Cowboys this coming week. So, he gets that kind of common denominator to your point, like another rep, half of it all kind of being the same. And I'm fascinated to get your perspective on, your relationship with Tom is so well documented and the chemistry you all had. And I love the quote after that Super Bowl 51, kind of post game moment when you tell him that you're the greatest of all time. That kind of brotherhood among teammates is extraordinarily rare in all of sports. And Dak Prescott seems to garner that from his teammates. And I'm curious, as somebody who has had that with the greatest player of all time, is that something that you can see, that you can identify from whoever it may be, CeeDee Lamb or whatever? People make such a big deal about Dak Prescott's leadership, and I'm curious what your perspective is.
Well, I think there's so many ways to determine a really good leader, and that you could see from the outside with Dak Prescott. One, never a problem in the media. I mean, he's a Dallas Cowboy, and we talk about them all year long, like with the first segment of everything. and he like very rarely does he say something that scratches your head.
Mm-hmm.
Two, he's a consistent football player, and to be that consistent of a football player, the way he performs, and it may just he performs great in the regular season, but to have that kind of success, that means he's ultimately practicing really well, and he's a hard practicer. So if your leader is that, your quarterback is practicing hard, he's raising the standard of everyone else. So, those two things alone show me that, like, yeah, he's a good leader. He's a consistent football player. He's a really good football player. He just so happens to play in the era with a guy by the name of Patrick Mahomes, which there's countless quarterbacks that played in Tom Brady's era that were really good quarterbacks, Phillip Rivers and a bunch of Peyton Manning only had 2 Super Bowls, and he was a generational guy. Like, there's a lot that goes into winning a Super Bowl, and it doesn't define you of what type of leader you are, the amount of Super Bowls you have. And you could tell that Dak Prescott is a great leader in that locker room. He's a stand-up dude that has a lot of attention on him, and he always seems to handle it the right way.
I think that's really well said, and I obviously agree with you. And to your point, the consistency, y'all's run will never be replicated. But you didn't win the Super Bowl every year. You didn't win every AFC championship. It's so difficult. It's almost like this is a really hard thing to do. It's to have that success, even when you are a part of the greatest dynastic run of all time, the way you are. I would be remiss if I didn't get your thoughts on the Patriots. Just kind of the season opener. They were underdogs. That might have been the most shocking result of week 1. Not even just that they won, but that it wasn't close at all and that they stifled such a powerful offense.
This had a making for this happening with both of these teams, if you think about it. Patriots flying under the radar all off season. I mean, if anything, a couple stories about that, how they didn't have anyone on the team, which, that's probably in the locker room. There's probably a lot of bulletin board material in there. Guys have to walk by that all year. And then you go on the other side and you see the Bengals, a lot of distractions in that locker room going up into the game. I mean, we don't even know if our guy's playing. Jamar Chase, is he playing? T. Higgins is out. Burrow's coming back from an injury. And I'm not taking anything away from the Patriots, but that's a disaster waiting to happen when you got a tough, hungry football team that has something to prove to everyone with the Patriots. And then you got a team that's supposed to be really good, but has never really started fast since Zach Taylor's been there. 1-5 in their start since he's been there. So it happened. And it happened because the Patriots dominated the line of scrimmage. They dominated the time of possession. They made opportunistic throws when they had to. They took the ball away twice. They didn't turn the ball over. They won the third down battle. And it reminisced how we used to win football games. So I'm so happy for Gerard Mayo, because for a fact that he's been preaching a certain way in that locker room. Hey, if we do this, who cares about what everyone else thinks? If we just worry about what we have to do and play our football game, we're going to put ourselves in the best situation to win. And they did that on week 1. And that gives them a coach that gives the coaches and the guys in there, a little like, oh, all right, we're buying into this, and it actually worked. So let's now do it to week 2. So it was a great start for the Patriots, but it's just a start. They got a tough one against Seattle coming up. I mean, Seattle does have to go across that country to Foxborough, and there's only one way in and one way out of there. But we'll see how that goes. But it's a great start for that team to build confidence, and that organization to keep on building confidence to get to back where they want to go.
I think that's also really well assessed. And, unfortunate for you, you weren't in this game because they were wearing orange. The Bengals were. The red could have kind of blended in just a little bit. You know what I mean? Not quite the same.
Well, those are easy.
Right.
Prime colors. Prime colors are good.
Right. You talked about, you made your joke about it, how, the other opposing teams wearing green. We saw 2 green colored teams on Friday night in Brazil, in the Philadelphia Eagles, the Green Bay Packers. You have a hint of green in your hoodie that you're wearing today because you are promoting really something that I think we all should be promoting. And it is the ultimate green sort of thing. Please tell us what you're working on with Jameson.
Yeah, I'm working on with Jameson. We're trying to get a game to Dublin.
Mm-hmm.
We went out to the league offices in New York. We brought a big double-decker bus, Jameson bus. to create some noise to the league office and say, hey, you know, what's not a better place to have a game than Dublin, Ireland? You know, we just watched the college kids go out there and have put on a great show. You could tell they have a bunch of passionate fans that are hungry for a physical sport. I mean, they love it out there. You know, so, you know, Jameson, they hit us up. I was like, man, that would be amazing to get a game in Dublin. You know, playing in Boston, there's so many Irish fans that, you know, there's a connection with Irish when you play for a Boston team. So I think it's a slam dunk, and I can't wait for them to get a game over there. And Jameson's going to be a big part of it.
And if a regular season, a pro American football game in Dublin is announced by April 1st, 2025, so April Fool's Day next year, Jameson's going to celebrate. They're going to give one lucky fan, obviously over the age of 21, and 5 friends a chance to win the ultimate Dublin experience. It is pretty cool. And you mentioned you are kind of Boston through and through, Irish through and through. Not a great weekend for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, but for everybody else, I mean,
No,
pretty awesome.
But I am a Mac Daddy. Northern Illinois, shout out, baby, let's go. But not we still want to get a game to Dublin.
Right. Well, this is awesome what you're working on with Jameson. You are a Mac Daddy. You shouted out Northern Illinois. That was super awesome. You shouted out my last name. You're the only person I've ever interviewed that came in and verified the phonetic pronunciation of Ochoa. So in that respect, we really are tied together for life, Julian, you and me.
We are, man. I mean, hey, I remember I had Ochoa on my line when I was in high school, and he was a stud.
Well, we're all studs. Let's be real about that. Julian Edelman, it is so cool seeing everything you're doing. I've lost track of really it all because I don't know when you sleep. Maybe, all the energy is just powering you through and through. But it's so cool to see you around doing all sorts of football fun things, and everything you have your hands on is just a wonderful success. So good job in this post-football career you got going on.
I appreciate that. Go to my Instagram page and check out all the fun content we did this past weekend in New York at the league office. Check out my podcast, Games with Names. And then I'll see you guys on Sunday with Fox Morning Kickoff, baby.
And hopefully in Dublin with a football game.
Hopefully in Dublin.
If they get out there, they got to have these hoodies that you're wearing available because these are fresh. I mean,
these are fire. Aren't these hoodies dope? Look,
dude, that little crest. You talked
cool
about
J too.
That's what I'm saying.
Really cool hats too. You guys, I think you can get it on the JamesonSports.com website.
Look at you, master promo artist, Julian Edelman and the Red Gloves. Thank you so much for the time, man. Have a great rest of football season.
All right, guys, I'll see you.